So I've started doing Pokemon monotype runs with a group of friends, and I've been finding that these are an absolute blast to do because they force me to play the game differently. The only problem is that they kind of require me to have my friends present to continue them. So with that in mind, I've decided I'm going to go suffer alone and do a Pokemon Firered monotype run. Okay, before we start, we just need to establish a few rules here. First, I can't overlevel my Mons past the ace of the next gym leader. Second, no items in battle at all. Third, we're using set mode versus switch mode. Fourth, we can't overlap the Mons on our team. Just a quick explanation of that. So like, if I have a Charizard, I can't catch another Charmander. If I have an Eevee, I can only have one Flareon, yada yada. Fifth is, if a Mon loses its fire typing before hitting its final evolution, I cannot evolve it past when it would have fire typing. I don't think this ever actually comes up. Sixth, if a Mon gains fire typing, I am still allowed to use the previous evolutions of that even if they don't have fire typing. And finally, the shinies are an exception to everything. A shiny will break every single rule. If I end up finding a like shiny Mew or like a shiny Kyogre, doesn't matter that I'm running Mono Fire, that's going on the team and it has to be run. Furthermore, the way that I set up the randomizer is that the starters are randomly selected, but they can only be one that has a 3-stage evolution. And only the wild Pokemon in the game have been changed, but they've been randomized in a way that the difficulty or the staging of their evolutions is determined and based around the point in the game in which you encounter them. Kind of hard to explain here. Best way to describe it is you're going to see stuff like Pidgeys, Rattatas, first forms of like starter Pokemon, Magikarps, that kind of stuff in the tall grass in the earlier stages of the game. Stuff like Gyarados, Charizard, Legendaries, third stage evolutions, yada yada, that you're going to find later on. So the evolutionary stages and the strength of the Pokemon should correspond to the point of the game in which you encounter them. And finally, the trainer Mons are not randomized. Clear as mud? Great, let's begin. So the game starts and Professor Oak casually sends out a Shuckle. That definitely wasn't the first Mon that he had in his hand. So we get to the character creation screen, and I've got no idea if I want to play as a boy or a girl this time around, so my dumbass decides, hey, let's go and get the input from the two people I'm in the chat with. My answers consist of Hoot and yes. I have obtained a lot of information all of a sudden. So I pick a girl and I name my character Hoot, and I name my rival Newt, Nooothoot. Really good names we got going here. Sadly, we didn't have a third character that we could have named Toot. I left home and talked to my mom, expecting her to give me some kind of useful information. She just talked about how all girls need to leave home to go on an adventure someday. Fantastic. Head over to Professor Oak's lab to find Newt sitting around causing trouble, probably. Went up and tried to talk to him. He had nothing overly useful to tell me, so I decided to start wandering around aimlessly until I stumbled into the tall grass on Route 1. Professor Oak comes out of nowhere, and he proceeds to shout at me for trying to go into the tall grass without a Pokemon. So Professor Oak takes me back to the lab, and then we get to choose our starter. After Newt gets told to wait about 4 times after he said he's tired of waiting. Ironic. We take a look in the 3 Pokeballs, and we have Chikorita, Charmander, and Whismur as an option here. My dumbass decides to go with Charmander. As Charmander has dual typing, we spin a wheel, because of course we do, and I love spinning wheels. So after spinning the wheel, we landed on fire. Unbeknownst to me, this was going to be a colossal problem. So I nicknamed my Charmander Ra! Yeah, we named it Ra. Newt decided that now was a good time to show off how strong his Chikorita was. Quickly went and disposed of the Chikorita, and then left the lab unaware of the hell that was awaiting me. Damn you!
Who, as in you?
No, I had to double check and then pause for a moment to see if there was an N or an H there, because I have Hoot and Newt. So we first start checking for what is on Route 1. We are graced with a Spearow and a Togepi. Both are flying in their final evolutions. This does not help me. Heading to Viridian City, some old guy told me that we were forbidden to walk on his patch of pathway, so we had to figure out another way to get there. We went to the Pokemon Center, grabbed a weird thingy for Professor Oak, headed back and gave him the custom Pokeball. Afterwards, I then went to go and get pizza.
This is custom. Oh, it's Newt! Hoot and Newt! Take these with you!
This is your doing, David. This is your fucking doing. I hope you're aware.
I am very aware. You are welcome.
Fucking Hoot and Newt. Then at some point, I decided to say the fantastic phrase,
Which means it's gonna be me and my Charmander against Brock.
I just wish that I wasn't so correct. It was at this point that I came to the realization that I have not played a pre-physical special split Pokemon game in a while. So with that in mind, I went and found a nice little chart off of Bulbapedia, saved it, and it was sitting on my other monitor while I went and ran the game. So returning back to Viridian City, we found that the old guy had eaten a Snickers bar, and he was now himself. Using his magical himself powers, he materialized a Weedle out of thin air and then threw a Pokeball and caught it, much to my amazement. At this point, I had no idea that Route 22 had tall grass on it, the route that was directly to the left of Viridian City. So we pressed onwards to Route 2. Upon arriving at Route 2, I uttered the words,
Alright, Route 2, be generous.
Yeah, the route was not generous at all.
That's not generous!
On Route 2, we found 4 freaking Ninkatas in a row,
Where the fuck are all these Ninkatas coming from?
a Wingull, which would have been absolutely incredible to have against Brock, a Wooper, and a freaking Ralts.
Well, that's not very useful now, is it?
None of these are fire types. I just thought I would let everybody know. Now, if I got flying as my typing, I would currently be sitting with a Togepi, a Spearow, a Nincada, a Wingull, and a Charmander. I'd have a full team of 5 right now. I have nothing but a Charmander. So I pressed onwards to Viridian Forest, hoping that I would find something. Yeah, no, I didn't find anything. I found Tyrogue,
Not helpful.
Sunkern, Lotad, to which I correctly uttered,
I'm screwed.
Sentret. Oh, and by the way, its default sprite is awful in Gen 3, especially Fire Red, because of how similar it looks to the shiny forms. So happy that they darken the default sprite later on. And freaking Dratini.
Ah!
Please note, I would have a Dragonite for my end team if I was allowed to use Flying Mons instead of Fire. After discovering all the Pokemon in Viridian Forest, I then had to go and dodge every single trainer for fear of overleveling versus Brock, all while continuing to complain about the fact that I could not use Dratini on my team.
Dratini would have been an awesome mon to have. If I had flying, I could have used it. Cause Dragonite.
So I arrive in Pewter City, and I immediately try to run out of the city to go to the next route to find fire Pokemon. Yeah, there's some dum-dum, and he will not let me go past the thing. Every single time I tried to, he was like, hey, you should go and challenge Brock. And I'm sitting there going like, do I have to? He's like, yep. It was at this point that the realization set in that I would be battling Brock with a Charmander.
This is actually happening. We're taking on fucking Brock with a Charmander and nothing else.
To make matters worse, I would not just be battling with a Charmander, I would be battling with a level 14 Charmander, the same level as Brock's Onix, because of the stupid rule that I cannot overlevel my Mons. This was going to be hell.
Right. Well, let's just take a quick little look-see and see how much trouble I'm in Gen 3. A lot. Okay.
I actually dispatched Brock's Lackey with relative ease. He was not a challenge. Saving my game, I then went and challenged Brock. Now at this point, my Charmander had learned Metal Claw, which was going to be exceptionally useful for the fight ahead, and I thought that the low special defense of both Geodude and Onix would allow me to gain some kind of an edge through using Ember.
Why do I think I have this? Maybe I do have this.
No, it did not help at all. The first battle, I don't remember what happened to the Geodude, it obviously wasn't that relevant. But Onix took Charmander down to half health with Rock Tomb, and my dumbass decided that yes, we're gonna go and try to set up on the thing by spamming Growl to lower its attack. Onix then went and cycled through all of its moves. I'm not really sure what Brock was doing, maybe his brain also shut off like mine did there. And he soon realized that he'd be better off just going and offing my Charmander with Rock Tomb, so that's what Onix did. First whiteout. Second battle, Geodude landed 3 tackles, putting Charmander's health down to half. Didn't help that I also missed a Metal Claw as well. When the Onix came out, it missed its first Rock Tomb, I hit with Metal Claw, I landed a second Metal Claw, bringing it down to half health, before the second Rock Tomb landed, finishing off Charmander. Second whiteout. Third battle, Charmander dispatched Geodude with relative ease, taking 1 tackle and losing a little bit of health. Onix then landed a crit on Rock Tomb and one-shotted Charmander.
Is that a crit?
Whiteout number 3. So it was at this point that I realized that Route 22 exists, and I quite literally made a beeline to that route to hopefully catch something that could help me out with the gym battle. As much as I would have liked to have said that this route saved the run, it did not. Not a single fire-type Pokemon on that route, only Mudkip, Ekans, and Zubat, which are not fire Pokemon. But hey, it only took 4 encounters to find them all, so there's that. And I then walked back to Pewter City, feeling pretty defeated. Returning back to the hell with Brock, Geodude never ended up actually attacking Charmander. The Onix proceeded to miss 2 Rock Tombs while I landed 2 Metal Claws. I missed my 3rd Metal Claw as the Onix landed a 3rd Rock Tomb, bringing me down to half health. At this point, the Onix now outsped me. Onix then missed an additional Rock Tomb as another Metal Claw brought it down to critical health before Onix landed an additional Rock Tomb and finished off Charmander. So the takeaway from this is that the battle was absolutely possible. I just had to get really, really lucky. So what did I do? I started just throwing myself at him over and over again. It took 23 tries to finally beat him.
Crit. Wait. Oh. That missed 3 times in a row. 1 shot. 1 shot. We're at 21 attempts in. This is fine.
Anyway, battle number 23 happens. Geodude takes Charmander down to half health with a critical hit. Onix proceeds to miss 2 Rock Tombs in a row, and Charmander lands 3 Metal Claws to KO it. At this point, I threw my hands up in the air, finally happy to be done with this bullshit.
$23. $23 times.
Unbeknownst to me, the bullshit was just getting started, and Brock would not be the worst thing that I would be having to deal with. Alright, so thanks so much for watching for everybody who made it to this point. If you did enjoy the video, feel free to leave a like. And I'm going to save you a little bit of time here by providing a link somewhere for the next episode of this. Provided that future me has currently got that video up. So it'll be something else if he doesn't have it up, and it'll be the next episode of this if he does. Basically, what I am trying to say is, future Babblerab, get your shit together.